Some people didn't have to have the license. So go over to page 3 under Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. You absolutely have to know, next to CFPB, right, Dodd-Frank. You absolutely have to know Dodd-Frank is the one that got the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and created them. So it says the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was created to ensure financial products and services which Americans depend on every day, including credit cards, mortgages, loans, etc. Highlight, work better for the people who use them. That's what you have to know. Created under Title 10 of the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act, the CFPB was charged with overseeing the federal financial laws which specifically protect consumers. Highlight, protect consumers. She already found a plug, I think. We already have a plug, but leave it here and I'll figure it out. Thank you. I have somebody else that's supposed to show up. Can you watch for him if he gets locked out? I love when people are late. Not. Because you know what? Did you guys just see how much I just went through in like 20 minutes? Okay. And you guys, we're going to take about a 10-minute break every 2.5 hours or so. And at lunch is going to be 12:45 to 1:15. It is only a half hour. So make sure your food is ready. Okay? I do everything fast, right? Well, not everything. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, the Bureau is tasked with making sure people understand the fine print, which explains the risk involved with using these services and ensures that banks, credit unions, and other financial companies which provide them play by the rules. Before the CFPB was established, highlight 7 different agencies were responsible. Drop down to the next paragraph. The rulemaking and enforcement authorities for many consumer protection laws have been transferred to, highlight the CFPB. If you don't know the answer when they ask you who enforces this, the CFPB is your best answer except for on the do not call list. Okay? So the CFPB and the agency continues to be the sole consumer-focused regulating authority. The CFPB oversight includes large banks, credit unions, basically anybody that loans money. Go to the next paragraph. Through the CFPB, the federal government regulates independent payday lenders, private mortgage lenders, servicers. Make sure that you're only highlighting what I'm telling you to highlight, and if I tell you to circle something, circle it. If you're taking this class for a second or third time because you want to make sure you know everything before you pass the test, if you already highlighted it, circle it. Circling makes you remember. Through the CFPB, the federal government regulates the activities, I already said that, of independent payday lenders, private mortgage lenders and servicers, debt collectors, credit reporting agencies, etc. Drop down to a qualified mortgage. I guess we should get this going too, huh? Usually when I teach people, I don't use this. There we are. Financial, I did that. There we are. Qualified mortgage. QM. The qualified mortgage is a home loan, highlight, meets certain standards. So the qualified mortgage isn't an actual mortgage. You don't talk to people and go, okay, I'm going to get you a qualified mortgage. Usually you're saying I'm getting you a conventional or a jumbo or whatever type of loan that you're getting them. But a QM mortgage is like the perfect loan, okay? So a qualified mortgage is a home loan that meets certain standards set forth by the federal government. Lenders which can generate such loans are presumed to have met, highlight, ability to repay. So you're supposed to make sure that your borrower has the ability to repay the mortgage. So they act like we never did that. Like back in 1983, when I first started as a processor, the first thing we always asked for was pay stubs and W-2s. We need to see that you can make the payments. The qualified mortgage rules are designed to create, highlight, safer loans by prohibiting or limiting certain high-risk products and features. Lenders who make QM loans as defined will receive a degree of, highlight, degree of legal protection. Then circle legal protection. It's protecting us just as much as it's protecting the consumer. So the rules and regulations are not just for the consumers, it's also for lenders. Lenders which make QM loans as defined will receive the degree of legal protection against borrower lawsuits, either in the form of, highlight, safe harbor or highlight, rebuttal presumption. We'll go over safe harbor and rebuttal presumption in just a few minutes. The definition of a qualified mortgage. It's defined by Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act, which became law July 21st, 2010. Right there, I want to stop because what they're going to say is they're going to say, July of 2010, Dodd-Frank did what? And then you're going to have to answer it. So Dodd-Frank Consumer Protection Act. Okay? So they're not going to expect you. Well, I don't want to say that for sure about not expecting you to actually know rules and regulations in time. You guys, you got to know the rules and regulations in time. I just had somebody take the test and you guys, I always ask, excuse me, I can't lose my voice now. I always ask people, you know, is there anything I didn't go over? Is there anything you didn't understand? Because I want to know how I can help people pass a test because it's not an easy test. If you've taken the real estate test, that's a joke compared to this. The real estate test, you can literally do word association. This word goes with this word. You can't do that on this test. I highly suggest when you guys signed up for this class, you got a link with all those questions. I talked about that already. I had one kid that what he did was he wrote the question on one side and the answer on the other because he was on his third chance. And after 3 times, you have to wait 6 months. And he's not going to wait 6 months. So he did that and then he practiced it. And then I had another student, I know you're online, Scott, who wants those cards. And I'm like, Scott, it's not the act of buying the cards or borrowing the cards from somebody else. It's the act of making the cards. Because by writing it down on one side and writing the answer on the other side, and then studying them, how you wrote them, and then going ahead and circling a word on one side and circling the word on the other side, that's what's gonna make you memorize those questions and answers. So there's like 900 of them. I know that. How bad do you wanna pass? I mean, when I want to do something and I put my mind to it, I focus on that and get it done. Because if you don't do that, then, you know, this is a career. It's not just something that you're going to jump in and maybe do for a couple months, make a bunch of money and leave, because why leave when you're doing really well and you're helping people, right? Not that I'm a lecturer, but, you know, it is what it is, right? So anyway, going on. Going to the next page, on page 4, it says, no excessive upfront points and fees. In this context, points and fees are highlight additional cost charged by the lender during the mortgage application, processing, and closing. The QM rule puts a limit on the additional costs and charges, including those used to compensate the mortgage broker and loan originators. The points and fees, so highlight points and fees, paid by the borrower must not exceed, highlight not exceed 3% and circle 3% of the loan amount. It says of the borrowed amount, but you can circle the part that says the loan amount. No toxic features. What you have to know about toxic features is toxic features are toxic features whether it's a qualified mortgage or a high price or a high cost mortgage. There's certain features of a loan that our government does not like. And one of them, one main one is interest only. Highlight interest only loans. I actually like interest only loans. It gives you options. If you have an interest only loan, you can pay that lower payment or you can pay extra to principal. Just because it's interest only doesn't mean you can't pay principal. So interest only is a toxic feature. Negative amortization. So just to make sure I'm clear, interest only is when you're making your house payment. All you're paying is interest and your principal's not going down. Negative amortization. Negative amortization is a little more brutal. It's not just interest only. If it's going negative, it means you're not even paying enough interest on that payment to pay the interest on that payment. So when you make a payment, your principal actually goes up. So that's why it's called negative amortization. The principal goes up. Terms beyond 30 years, highlight that. And balloon payments. Balloon payments is when you have a payment on your loan that's higher than any other payment or that's due in full at the end of the loan. Because if you have an interest-only payment, you're not paying down the principal. So sometime during that loan, you're going to have to pay down the principal. And you'll have a balloon payment. Everybody got all that? Because I'm going to add to that in one